Bill O'Reilly here. You are listening to the O'Reilly Update. Coming up next, the news with Mike Slater.
Thank you, Bill. What a day. It is Tuesday, April 4th, 2023. Here's what's happening today in America. Trump indicted, Biden's small business bankruptcies, Chinese spy balloon latest, and the newest, Indiana Jones. All coming up. Then Bill here with your message of the day. 34 felony counts of falsifying business records, each a Class E felony. That's the lowest level felony. Each one carries up to 4 years in prison per charge. But I mean, no one, not even the president, would get jail time as a first offender. Actual criminals in New York City don't get jail time. These charges are usually misdemeanors, but the Soros DA bumped them up to felonies because they were intended to conceal another underlying crime. Biden recently said, when I came into office, the economy was reeling. Small businesses were hurting. Literally hundreds of thousands of small businesses had closed across the country. And to jumpstart the American recovery, we needed to help the small businesses, and we needed to help them fast. So we got to work. Okay, well, here's what's happened. The number of monthly bankruptcies in February 2023, 32,000. That's an 18% increase from the bankruptcies of last February, according to the American Bankruptcy Institute. Now, here's the trick. If you own a small business that's unincorporated, you're not counted in the official job numbers. But if your business goes out of business and then you go to work for a big corporation, then you are counted as a job created. So when a small business gets crushed and goes out of business, the owner works for then a big company. Biden celebrates that as a job created. And if that person works 2 jobs, they're counted as 2 jobs created. And Joe Biden pats himself on the back. 2 current senior U.S. officials and 1 former senior administration official told NBC News that Chinese spy balloon that flew across America was able to gather intelligence from several different American military sites. China was able to control the balloon so that it could make multiple passes over some of these sites and transmit the information it collected back to Beijing in real time. Now, the Pentagon says, they couldn't collect anything much different than what they could from their satellites. But even if that's true, the point is we had, and maybe still have, Chinese spy balloons flying overhead, and we're like, no big deal. They're laughing at us. The Wall Street Journal the other day wrote an article that 80% of the cranes that are used in American ports use Chinese software. And the Chinese could just shut it off. How can we be so foolish? Indiana Jones 5 to be released at the Cannes Film Festival. Harrison Ford said this is his last go. The first one was in 1981. This movie is set in the 60s during the space race, and Ford will be digitally de-aged. Also, the first one of the series, not directed by Steven Spielberg, but based on the last Indiana Jones. I mean, who could do worse? Bill O'Reilly with your message of the day. Next.
The chairman of the Fed is promising more pain ahead. Last year, stocks dropped 20%, and this year could be worse. You are right to be worried. So please call the only precious metal dealer I trust, American Hartford Gold. They'll show you how to protect your savings and retirement accounts by diversifying your portfolio with physical gold and silver. So please call today and they'll have physical gold and silver delivered right to your door or put inside your IRA or 401k. Tell them Bill O'Reilly sent you, and they will give you up to $5,000 of free silver on your first order. Please call 877-444-GOLD, 877-444-GOLD, or text GOLD GOLD to 65532. Again, 877-444-GOLD, or text GOLD to 65532. Time now for the O'Reilly Update message of the day. On this Tuesday, a political war has broken out in America, an almost unique historical situation. Obviously, the Civil War was a traditional violent conflict, so the national division over the Vietnam War comes closest to what we have now. Both sides are adamant their opponents are corrupt and destructive. The Trump support cadres believe the former president is the victim of a dishonest justice system and media. The anti-Trump legions think the former president is corrupt and has been destructive to the country. There is no détente possible with these two positions. They are entrenched, and because there is no reliable messenger for the truth any longer, they will remain in stone. The difference now from the Vietnam days is that a substantial number of Americans are solidly apathetic With a dreaded draft in place back in the 1960s, ignoring politics was difficult. Today, it's easy with all the high-tech addiction. Millions of Americans live in trivial bubbles where harsh realities are blocked with the swipe of a thumb. The 2024 presidential vote will be a major turning point for this country, but getting there promises to be civically painful. The divided states of America are not going to forge compromise anytime soon, and a major portion of the population doesn't even want compromise. I'm Bill O'Reilly. I approve the message by writing it. You can reach me, Bill at BillO'Reilly.com, Bill at BillO'Reilly.com, name and town if you wish to opine. All right, let's go to the mail. John Cohen, St. Louis. The problem with this country is that politicians no longer care about the people they represent. They only care about the party they belong to. It's not the party. You're right on the first part, John. They don't care about we the people. It's not the party, all right, that they, Democrat or Republican. It's the ideology. They have to fit in a certain area to raise money. Perry on the message board. Hey, Bill, no matter what someone thinks or feels about Trump as a person, it's time for all traditional Americans completely rally around him. This cannot stand, and everybody claiming to be Republicans should vote for no one else. Okay, I mean, I think Republicans are, to a large extent, doing that, but we'll see how it plays out. Doris, concierge member. Thank you, Doris. Everyone has to decide for himself who they want to be the Republican nominee. However, don't just go with someone other than Trump because you think Trump comes with too much noise and baggage. You're doing exactly what the Democrats want. Democrats actually want to run against Trump. Okay? They think Biden could beat him. Bob Walker, Bentonville, Arkansas. Bill, I know you know this, but wanting or voting for free stuff is not limited to African Americans. Absolutely, and I'm glad you wrote the letter. Okay? When we do analysis, we usually do it in a very pinpoint way. And the African-American voting bloc is solidly Democrat, unlike the Hispanic voting bloc, which is getting wider. African-Americans are entrenched in the Democratic Party, and free stuff is a big reason. The culture of African-Americans is also a big reason. But thank you for pointing that out. In a moment, something you might not know. If you own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles and have an auto warranty about to expire or have no warranty at all, listen up. Car Shield has a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that's now available to the public. Save on out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. So please call Car Shield now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. 800-925-7584 for a free quote. This protection plan is at an all-time low in price. Drivers who activate the vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. So please call for your free quote, 800-925-7584, 800-925-7584. Hey, what do you have to lose? 800-925-7584. Now, the O'Reilly Update brings you something you might not know. 15 years ago today, a handwritten letter penned by former president sold for $3.4 million in New York City. That sale broke 6 records, including the most paid for an American manuscript. Here is the story of Abraham Lincoln and the Little People's Petition. When Abe issued the Emancipation Proclamation in January 1863, his executive order only applied to slaves in the southern states. A Massachusetts schoolteacher named Mary Rice, who was secretly a member of the Underground Railroad, wrote a letter to Lincoln urging him to free all slave children. The document was signed by 195 students. To Mary's surprise, the president responded, wrote Lincoln, quote, "Please tell these little people I am very glad for their young hearts that are so full of just and generous sympathy, and that while I have not the power to grant all they ask, I trust they will remember that God has, and He wills to do it. And here's something else you might not know. In addition to that historical letter, again selling for $3.4 million, other letters remain the highest sought-after items at auctions all over the world. The top three include a 1939 letter from Albert Einstein to Franklin Roosevelt. Considered one of the most important letters of the 20th century, the document describes the dangers of Nazi Germany developing a nuclear weapon. It sold for $2.5 million in 2002. Another is the 1964 letter written by Malcolm X during his pilgrimage to Mecca. In it, Malcolm recants his previous views and rejects all form of racism. He signs the letter with his new name, Malik al-Shabazz. That letter sold for $1.9 million after being discovered in a storage locker. The most expensive letter of all time was auctioned in Asia. A poem written by Chinese scholar Zheng Gong dates all the way back to the year 1080. A businessman purchased the one-page note for, ready, $35 million. Back after this.
Ad paid for by the Sentinel Group. Attention veterans, active duty military, civilians, and contractors. If you were issued earplugs between 1999 and 2015 and were diagnosed with hearing loss or ringing in the ears, you may be entitled to compensation. The manufacturer of these military earplugs recently paid $9.1 million to resolve claims that their earplugs were defective, potentially exposing service members to damaging sound levels that could have resulted in hearing loss or tinnitus. If you or a loved one were issued earplugs and were diagnosed with tinnitus or hearing loss, don't wait. You fought for this country, and our attorneys want to fight for you. Call 800-687-1936 now for a free legal consultation and to see if you may be eligible to file a claim. Time restrictions may apply, and you pay nothing unless there's a recovery in your favor. So call 800-687-1936 now. Again, 800-687-1936. That's 800-687-1936.
Thank you for listening to the O'Reilly Update. I am Bill O'Reilly. No spin, just facts, and always looking out for you.